Hi, I'm Todd Pappy, Game Director at God of War Ascension. What you're about to see is a making of video that we've been shooting over about 2+ years. It gives you a good idea of the inception of an idea all the way through to the final product. Keep in mind that this is a work in progress. Enjoy.
The avatar system is a way for you, the player, to create something that's yours. So it's basically you create your guy, you create your hero, your Spartan, and you bring him into the multiplayer universe, and that's your representation of you in the God of War world. You're not Kratos, you're your own Spartan, you're your own hero in our world. And I'm really excited about it because we haven't had that before.
It's up to the user. So really what we have to do is give a lot of amazing options that the user can try to make their own Kratos. You can make them however you want, but then you battle other players that have done the same thing. And you can really test out those combos. You can really test out those skills, not on AI, but you can actually fight other players and really create a whole new expansive experience. Initially, we started with this more buff version of Kratos, and so they wanted to kind of see different armor. I was playing with like an elephant theme, and some were just big, and some just had some ornate design on them, along with crazy intricate belt buckles. These are just all basic designs that we're working with right now. Nothing's concrete yet.
You can be as crazy looking as you want to, or you can be as cool looking as you want to. We did have to make sure that every armor set has its own personality and that it speaks to the characters and creatures that are in the game. We have a helmet piece, we have a chest, shins, gauntlets, we also have shoulder pads, and we have skirts. This is the Kraken armor, inspired by the Kraken in God of War 2, trying to incorporate all the colors, which is very green and orange. I was thinking that Kratos, or the Avatar in this example, maybe after the killing of the Kraken, you took the parts and pieces of the body and tried to use that as armor somehow. Got this squishy, fleshy feel, inspired by sea life. Asymmetry was a big part of trying to make these feel unique, kind of offset things from looking cookie-cutterish.
So the weapons were pretty tough because we had to do a lot. The theme is also very important. So it's just like a lot of things to really think about. Like I had to think about the theme, and I had to think about how the weapons are gonna look. We knew what we wanted the themes to be. We wanted Zeus, Ares, Hades, and Poseidon. Zeus had to be sharp and also prestigious, so that's why it has kind of like a sharp tip. It looks like it could be a very fast weapon. The Ares, I felt, should be more blunt, a little bit harder. The blunt shape is very important. With the Hades, since he's kind of the underworld, it was very much asymmetry, spiky. You don't want to get hit by the sword because it'll jack you up, right? With the Poseidon one, it was all about negative space, and it looks like a trident. Then I started exploring the effects. With Zeus, I was pushing the idea of like just lightning and more of like this goldish yellow. Poseidon, it was very obviously aquatic. And I think eventually they went with like ice. Ares, which was fire. For Hades, it was really cool to kind of say, what if souls came out of the sword, right? All these colors and all these different kind of themes are very different. It's very important that they're clear.
Code has now completed this thing that allows us to swap out the armor pieces on a character now, as well as give us the ability to hold different weapons in their hand, and that switches out their animations that come with them and stuff. Very exciting. I mean, that's extremely exciting. I can't wait to get that done and get that out there.
It was a big challenge because of all the pieces that needed to come together, all of the high-quality artwork that needed to be created. We had to build a system that would allow that artwork to fit in memory, be loaded quick enough, and let the player build out his character in a way that wouldn't limit him. We always assume the worst case, which is that all players are wearing completely different loadout and have completely different set of armor selected. So each character has enough memory to hold a complete set of his own armor. That way we avoid any problems with certain combinations of everybody picking different things causing memory overflows.
We have such a heavy project here that it's just a lot of assets to take on to make and build. What we do is we'll send them out to a company, we'll hand them the concept art and build the assets, and then what happens is it comes back to us, and then we're allowed so many iteral changes on that. So the screen here on the left is basically just the attributes that control the shader itself. This first layer is set up with basic texture maps, controlling the overall underlying layer of the armor. So as you can see, if I turn down the diffuse, this whole chest piece pretty much turns black except for the metal here. And if I go down to the second layer, there's a mask in this that only affects this metal section. So if I can mess with the specular value of this shader right here, it's gonna overall take away any specular value of that. And we can also change the color as well. So it can be whatever color you prefer. It could be more of like a yellow or gold. Once this goes into game, we end up writing it into a file with specific values. There's a text file that basically just calls in those values and switches out the colors.
The UI changes for this game been trying to push bigger change than in previous God of Wars. And the reason why is that the player will spend more time in the user interface seeing the same thing than he did in any one spot in the game.
User interface deals with anything in the game that happens to be a heads-up display element or HUD, and also we work with objects in the world as far as like levers or anything in the world that might need an indicator or something to lead the player along the direction that the director wants to take him through gameplay. These are what we would call a HUD element, or things like these meters right here that fill up, flip to a different camera. So now you should be able to kind of see how the HUD might look as an overlay on top of all the things in the world. And you can see back here, we've got, you know, environments in the background. We've got these blue cubes moving around, which are kind of representative of a future menu. This is our MP lobby. So this is a great example of kind of like the mixed media approach to UI. So HUD elements, and then back here, world elements. This is what these flying blue blocks are eventually going to be. It's going to be a menu made of amber gems lying around that helps the user navigate between all the many, many menus in the multiplayer lobby. And then as you switch from menu to menu, the focus of what you're looking at is going to be changed.
When talking pure combat, the first thing that people customize is probably their weapon. That's going to define their player style. Like the sword is going to lean more towards kind of power and just breaking one player down. The hammer is more about concussions, hitting lots of people, maybe a little bit more resistance and tankiness. When people go to their armor, part of it's the look, but it also has some stats on it that can help define your play as well. So it's like, if you want to go full damage, you probably want to get the sword. You probably want to get one of those armors that also enhance your damage. Or you can pick a hammer and pick some more of the resistance armors and be really tanky. You know? And there's things in the middle that you can pick too. You can lower cooldown. So it's like, okay, I don't want to be that strong or tanky, but I actually want to just do my moves really quickly, escape really quickly, and just be annoying on the battlefield. So it's like, that's what we're looking at when we're looking at the stats and things like that to see if those customizations allow for that flexibility.
Anything we could do to make the weapon have like a personality through these specials to the attributes. I mean, even the stats on the weapons are different, but that's just a small part of what makes them different. What really makes them different is the gameplay that we have with the different specials and abilities. We kind of find that the more and more we do crazier things with each weapon, give them like auras or unique abilities or like hazards I can place, the funner they are and the more they stand out. So I think as we go on, each time we design a new weapon at this point, it has like some kind of crazy gimmick, and I think we'll probably find that we have to go back to some of the first weapons and add some of that stuff back in. Each one of them can have its own unique stats and power, and then you mix those with allegiances. If I send out an Ares fireball, well, it can damage people over time, versus if I send out a Poseidon one, it could slow them. There's those kind of nuances that we can do to make sure that everything feels special and unique.
It's definitely been a challenge. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of abilities, a lot of things, and a lot of things new to God of War and just this genre of multiplayer. So we don't have many examples to look at when it comes to this style of melee combat and multiplayer. So yeah, it's been definitely a challenge to figure out like what play styles would actually work and what people would want to do and make sure they want to do it.